Teeth in your neck Tuesday, my children! We revisited 30 Days of Night last year for the 10th anniversary, but there were so many more sequels to it than just Dark Days. So let us return to 30 Days of Night as they return to Barrow. It has been 3 years since the attack on Barrow, Alaska from the first miniseries, when the town was dark for 30 days and the vampires attempted their little party. We meet Brian Kitka, the new sheriff of Barrow, and his son Marcus, moving into the old Ullman house. Brian is there not only to become the sheriff, but to try to clear his brother William's name. The official story is that he murdered his wife and children. Then his body was found in a pile of burnt bodies. Brian does not believe that his brother was capable of murder, so he wants to know the truth. First up, he meets his deputy, Donna, who was around during the original attack, but does not want to say any more about what happened. Soon he meets John Ikos, brother of the former owner of the local bar, and now its current proprietor. Since Brian is family to someone from the town, he's willing to confirm the truth, that Stella Ullman's book from Dark Days was accurate, and the town was attacked by vampires. They told this to the last sheriff, who decided to flee. To confirm the story, he and Donna give Brian his brother's journal that he wrote during the 30 days. While he goes off to read, John confirms to Donna that they need to see if he'll sink or swim knowing the truth, that he already found the vampire scouts trying to sneak into the town. You know, you're not being very neighborly to the undead. Maybe they're just looking to buy a house. In Dark Days, we met FBI agent Morris, a vampire who was tracking down and killing those who knew of their existence. And he's on the trail, trying to find a network of people who know about the existence of vampires. He's forced to turn a drug addict who was in on it due to him refusing to give information, but they also sense a calling, compelling them to head to Barrow. Meanwhile, Brian reads the journal, the harrowing account confirming that he did indeed kill his family, but it was to spare them from the possibility of being killed or turned into vampires. He had intended to kill himself as well, but his gun jammed and he just ended up another victim of the vampires. Distracted by the journal, Brian is almost attacked by another vampire scout, but is saved by John, who says that if he wants to leave, he should do so now before the vampires return. Conferring with his son, Brian is prepared to leave if he wants, but when they decide to do so, they learn the last plane out before the sun went down has already left. Meanwhile, we have another survivor of Dark Days, Dane, Stella's side piece vampire who helped him kill the aristocrat Lilith. He meets up with 2 other vampires who are also feeling the compulsion to go to Barrow. Things are getting worse for vampires. While most people don't believe in them, enough do that it is getting harder for them to stay on the move. The vampires feel that if they can succeed in finally destroying Barrow, they can begin the process of wiping out knowledge of their existence, restore their mythical status. After all, if humans believe in them, they do not fear them. If they do not fear them, then vampires can be defeated. They want redemption for their failure, and Dane is just along for the ride, though has to lie and deny any involvement in Lilith's death. Brian and his son join the town in preparing their defenses. The vampires attack each year, and the townsfolk arm themselves and prepare for a 30-day siege. UV lights placed all over the place and generators set up. One of the townspeople stupidly brings in a lady he shacked up with on the way into town, but they quickly realize she's a vampire scout meant to cause mischief. They begin hunting her while lighting up the town, John recommending to Brian that he send his son home and set up a safe room in the basement. A child will do no good against the vampires, and he may need to be protected against the swarm. Still, they locate the vampire, and she is already dead, her head very quickly removed, and nobody can explain how it happened. Oh no! The town is haunted by ghosts too! Morris arrives at the gathering of vampires, led by one named Werner, and begins giving recommendations for their upcoming assault, calling on his FBI training to do so. However, they soon discover Dane and his fellow vampires, with the other vampires having their heads chopped off the same way as the scout in town. Dane claims that something moved so fast that it slaughtered them before he could react. He has no idea why he was spared. Morris, however, can smell Stella on him. Still, they're all hungry and begin their assault. This time, they're ready for their own counterattack against Barrow's defenses, utilizing guns to storm their way in. Still, despite some losses, the humans are able to force them to retreat for the moment, allowing Morris and Werner the chance to kill Dane for his involvement in Lilith's death. Well, it's good that we brought back Dane for that moment. Why was he even here? As the next attack commences, Werner spots two shadowy figures jumping the fence around Barrow, though has no idea who they could be. More vampires are mysteriously slain as they try to fight off the monsters, Brian realizing that they're trying to split them into smaller, easier to pick off groups. Worrying about his son, he heads off to his house, where Morris is coming down to the basement as he learns Marcus is there. While Brian arrives to fend off the vampires waiting outside, Marcus is found by Morris, who is himself found by the two figures who have been killing the vampires so effectively. After they decapitate him, both the figures and Brian are able to slaughter the remaining bloodsuckers, and Brian is reunited with his son, who reveals who the two figures are. Back in town, John saves Donna from Werner and puts a knife through his brain to end him. The two share a kiss and we learn the identities of their saviors. Stella and Eben Oleman, now both vampires, but both also promising to never let anyone ever hurt the town again, that they'll always be watching over them. Isn't it nice to have a happy ending, and without the terrible sun to rise to meet the glorious night?